Hi, welcome back. Today I want to talk about a topic that we get asked a lot about which is what methods we train and how we kind of do things in our home. We have used a ton of different training methods, and there's nothing wrong with people using different training methods. What works for one is not always going to work for the other, and that's okay. And before we begin, I want to disclaim I am no professional trainer by any means. I am just simply sharing you what methods we use, how we use them, and how they have worked for our dogs. So today I'm going to be touching briefly on clicker training, how we use it, what it's done for us, what exercises we use it for, and how you can start your dogs in clicker training yourself. Again, I am not certified in the art of clicker training, and there are so many articles and videos online that would better suit educating people on the art of clicker training. So about a year ago, I attended a water seminar, and the whole weekend we were using clickers, and I hadn't used one before. I had heard of them. I thought they were very gimmicky, and I didn't think that they could apply to what I was doing with my dogs. I was amazed that in one weekend, dogs that had just been started on the clicker were learning so quickly, offering behavior, you know, really engaging and training. And that is when I learned what I know now, that it can be an excellent tool if used properly for very clear communication with your dog. So what is clicker training? Clicker training is a method of training that uses an event marker, a click, to mark desired behavior in your dog, and then that is immediately followed by a treat or a reward. That could be a toy or a food-based reward. Today I'm going to demonstrate using a food-based reward, but you can just, if your dog is not food motivated, you can substitute that for a toy. A misconception that I had in the beginning is that the clicker could just be replaced with a marker word like yes or good, and that's what I had used in the past. But what I like about the clicker, it takes the emotion out of it. So if your dog is actually doing the behavior, but it's not in the, you know, speed you want it to be, and you go yes, you know, your emotion is really put into that training session where it really doesn't need to be. This is so consistent, same sound, same click every single time. So I really like that for that. Also, it can be much more precise, and it gives you a second to get the treat out of your pocket. So once you get the mechanics down with clicker training, your doors are wide open, seriously. Now I'm going to show you how to introduce the clicker to a new dog and how to charge the clicker, and then I will show you some commands that we use the clicker for. I'm also going to release a series of behaviors or chain behaviors that we start using the clicker. You just burped in my face. He already has clicker training down, and I apologize, he is absolutely filthy, needs a bath because he is Duke, but he already knows the gist of clicker training. I want to show you, for the purpose of the video, how to introduce a dog to a clicker. So anytime you are starting a training session, always have your treats, whether they're in your pouch or on a plate or in a bowl, already pre-cut up so that you're not fumbling around with them as you're trying to treat them. Today we're using string cheese, and I've already cut it up into small pieces. Another thing, make sure if you're doing meatballs, like I suggest sometimes for water rescue, make sure you're like fourthing those, because they need pretty small pieces, as we don't want to really bog them down. Also, if your dog will work for their food, if they're kibble fed, then you could use one meal to do a training session, and that would be their meal for the morning. You would just use their food to train that session. These are finicky guys, so we are using higher value food today, and I'll show you how you introduce the click and the treat, kind of the mechanics, and then we will get into how to use it for basic obedience, basic things and tricks, and then into like a few exercises that you've seen in other videos just redone. And as I said, I'm going to do a series on how I do more advanced things like teaching the heel position and going around an item, or picking up, taking, and holding with a clicker. So that will be coming. This is just basic intro today. So the order is click, and then a treat, Always click before you move your hand. So it's click, then the treat comes. Some people feed directly. Some people do directly in the mouth, some people do it on the floor. I don't have a preference. Some people are really strict about what they do. I just, right now I'm just gonna be putting them on the floor. So always click, then go for the food. So that's how you warm a dog up to the clicker, is just click, put a treat right in front of their face, and then you can kind of move them around a little bit and not put any expectation on a behavior yet. Come here, come lay down. Now I want to show you, if you're teaching a dog to sit, what that would look like. And you've probably seen this, and this is very basic, but some people would love to know how this works. Duke, sit. So see, right as his butt hits the ground, come here, up, 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 up. Duke, sit. So if you're just introducing sit, you can lure. So luring is moving food in front of their face to manipulate their body into going a certain way. So if I want him to just stand, I move it forward, stand, yes. If I want him to sit, I move it slightly above his head, but then you're marking with the clicker their butt hitting the ground. If you're doing it with the down, same thing, down. So marking belly on the ground. That is something basic that you can do. If you want to do like trick training, you can use a lure, like I said, putting the food in front of their face and moving around with a click in addition. So I'll show you that now. He knows this one, but this one he learns really quick with the clicker. Dude, come. Down. Down. So this one is play dead, and he knows this one. So I'm clicking when his shoulder hits the ground. So, but ideally you would start with a lure. And I can try to show you that. We're gonna start with a lure. When that shoulder hits the ground, that's when I click and then I treat. And you don't add a word, like with sit or whatever, you do not add a word until they are doing that behavior fluidly, because that just adds an element that they're not ready for. After a while, you can take away the lure for whatever trick you're working on or exercise. They did. So that one's kind of a hand cue that I am also using with that. Play dead. Yes. Play dead. No. Play dead. Are you chewing? Yes. So that's just one example of using a clicker with a lure and fading out the lure to get a desired trick or behavior. So that is what we've done with that. So an example of a time that I use the clicker in water-related stuff or obedience-related stuff is teaching them to go around. So what I'm wanting is them to come to this point, and this is when I'm clicking right here as they make that turn, so that that in their head is where the reward is coming from. So they'll just be dying to get out to the back of this so that they hear that click, if that makes sense. So I'll show you that now. Duke, up. Go around. So he goes around the other way, but yeah, see, he ran to the back side of this. Good, right here. This is closer than we usually do it. Right here. Around. See, I'm clicking on the back side. So that's where he knows the reward is coming from. So he is running to the back side, and that creates that. See, he's offering that, and I'll click that. You don't have to add a word at first, they just do it. And eventually you can add distance, add a word, like you have in our other videos where, let's see, he's got the distance. And Duke, in reality, can do this in a field. If I had that marker out there, he would go out and go around it. He's very good at this. But we built up to this, and I have videos, if you go back a ways, I have videos of him working on a round as a puppy, and I can go into depth on how I teach a round in another video. In another video, I'm gonna go over how I train, pick it up, and take it and all that. I'm gonna show you what reinforcing delivering to hand looks like. And in another video, like I said, I'll go into how I teach the beginning steps of this behavior. So as you see the timing of my click, I am clicking when he drops it in my hand. That is where that reward comes from. And you don't have to name it, you don't have to say anything. He does have a name for this, but I'm not pairing that for the sake of the video right now. You chewing. He keeps dropping his cheese. Now I'm going to show you what I mean when I say I mark a heel position. This was a long process, but the understanding of it is so good. So yeah, I'm going to show you that now. Heel. Back. A little sloppy. Okay, right here, come. Duke, come. Duke. Heel. I'll take that. I want it tighter, but that's all right. The reality is he's super tired. So that is where I'm gonna call it a day. I want to mention that you really should keep this training session short, especially when they're first starting out. You want them to end on a fun, like still having fun. So I don't wait till they're cooked to put them away. I probably could do a 2-minute session and that's all they can take. Even with these boys that know their stuff, I like them to want to get back out and train, and really overworking them does not help that process. So even in water, I'll do maybe 1 to 2 exercises and then put them away. I wouldn't run through a whole test and bog down their brain. I really like them to think about what they've just been doing and process that. So that's why I stick with only a few minutes at a time when I'm training. So again, there was no tutorial on how I trained these exercises per se, but I am gonna have a series of videos on how I clicker train certain concepts. And because the delivering to hand that you saw today didn't just come overnight, it's a sequence of little behaviors that built that big chain of events. So that is what I'm really trying to get across, that this is what is possible. There are things that are possible, but they take really splitting hairs and breaking things down. Let me know in the comments if this has encouraged you, if you're excited for training, if you've used clicker training and it works for you. Again, you don't have to use clicker training. Not every method will work for everyone. Happy training, and we will catch you in the next one.